Welcome everybody. Ralph Carrasco here with Jessica Carlin from Yelp HQ. Jessica has been my liaison since August of 2018. See, I joined the program in October of 2017. I got fully vetted. There's a huge process, which Jessica's going to kind of touch on a little bit, and how people are chosen. I was fortunate enough to be selected right after I, didn't sign my franchisee agreement for another 7 years. Could not see myself carrying equipment. So that's why I became smart. And that's why we're bringing you real knowledge from the source. If you've seen some of my other videos, you can see how I'm just kind of heated, and I don't always talk about just ad spend, but I actually talk about your profile. And this is one of the reasons why Jessica and I work so well together. And the last couple of weeks, especially with COVID-19 hitting, we've been seeing a lot of misinformation, people complaining about what they think Yelp is versus like what it really is. And we kind of want to break that down for the service industry. And mainly today, we're going to be touching on roofers. So Jessica, thank you for being here and engaging.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I'm on like Joe Rogan's podcast or something. This is like right up there. So very excited.
Carrasco Consulting, Become the Obvious Choice podcast. So that'll be down the road, but we're good. So Jessica, like, what is your background through all of this? Like, did you just wake up one day and just go, you know what? I am going to work for Yelp. This is going to be my passion. Like everyone, hates Yelp, but I'm going to be the champion that just carries these businesses strong. So like, let's give our people watching like a little bit of context as to who you are and how you kind of got here and how long you've been with Yelp.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wish that was the case. That would make a way cooler story than what actually happened. So we can just go with that, roll with it. No, so actually all through college, I attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison, go Badgers. But my whole trajectory was TV, radio, film. So I was actually kind of following the reporting / anchoring path. So at school, I worked for Big Ten Network, did a lot of videography, editing in that department. Also interned for ABC, NBC. My emphasis, my majors was English and Communication Arts with a TV, radio, film emphasis. So that was definitely where I was headed. And then how I stumbled across Yelp is I was about to graduate. I'm like, all right, I should probably attend the career fair just to see what's up, see what's going on, explore my options. And I always knew my first job, I wanted to be at a company that I was familiar with or passionate about to an extent. And to be honest with you, Yelp was the only name brand that I actually recognized in the career fair. So I went, I chatted them up, ended up going through the interview process and ended up getting a job offer. And so I still don't really know how I ended up in Scottsdale, Arizona, being a girl from the Midwest, but I've been out in Scottsdale about 6 years and have been working for Yelp the whole time. So approaching my 6-year anniversary with Yelp in July.
Awesome.
So it's been a fun ride.
I bet. And you've had some pretty interesting roles, like from, Yelp. So like from a career fair where like you walked up and, something I always talk about more than anything, you saw their logo, right? And you're like, oh, Yelp, I know what that is.
Brand awareness. Yep.
Yeah, that's what burns into people's minds, Yeah. It wasn't somebody just standing there. It was actually like the logo. And then you could appropriate, like you said, like how you use it, you internalize it. So what are some of the roles that you've had at Yelp HQ in Scottsdale, and where do most people start? And then can you explain a little bit of your trajectory and then kind of where you're at right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically we'll call it entry-level positions. There's really one of two routes that you could have taken at the time. Again, this was 6 years ago, but I think it stayed pretty consistent. So there was the new business. So that's the local sales department. So those are the businesses.
Those Those are the guys that
Yeah.
call like every day,
His
like
favorite
15
people.
times a day.
Yeah. Yeah, but everyone, yeah, tried to make the conversations as great and pleasant as possible. So hopefully I wasn't very annoying, but yeah, so started in the local sales department. The other route I could have taken was account management, but I liked the idea of the new sales side just because I'd get to interact with more people, more room for growth there. So I moved up the ladder in that segment fairly quickly. There was little promotional steps around the way. So in my time in local sales, I achieved the highest tenure, if you will, which is called elite. So you're elite account executive. And again, you're just working very fancy. Again, you're just working directly with local businesses. And I actually loved the job. I know it's not for everyone, but my passion has always been people. And what I always did in college and before is just focus on communication, so speaking and writing. So it was actually a very natural fit for me. So subsequently, I got to move up the ranks a little bit to the mid-market sales department. So that is a segment of our national division. So my focus was really on multi-location businesses that had on average anywhere from 15 to about 75 locations. So, selling the same products, similar types of conversations, same types of objections from the business and things like that, just larger scale, as you can imagine. But still that client direct relationship and really enjoyed that role. And then that kind of brings me to where we are today with this agency partner segment. So I was approached with the opportunity. Actually, they're like, hey, we're starting this agency partner segment. There was like maybe 6 people that were touching this piece at the time. There's no management in place. It was just kind of like, hey, this is our idea. We know we're kind of a pain for agencies to work with right now. These guys don't have any streamlined support. They have Yelp salespeople, hitting them up all the time on behalf of their clients, and we just need to make life easier for them. We need to, be able to work with them really easily and allow them to support their clients better than we're doing now. And that's always a need that I saw personally, just working with these businesses that had these marketing agencies. So honestly, I jumped at the opportunity and just went into it full throttle. And I started in that role, I believe it was July of 2017. Yeah, sounds about right. I'll have to check the LinkedIn page, but right around there. And yeah, it's been my favorite role at Yelp thus far, solely for the fact that it's pretty much 100% relationship based. My partners I've been working with since day one, like you and I, Ralph, we're in contact pretty consistently all day, every day, most days, I would say, so yeah, really, I'm the lucky one here. But yeah, no, it's been wonderful. And then of course you get to know their clients and you have all their data kind of in the back of their head. So it really feels like a team effort. I'm just like the third man that joins on with the agency and their clients and the great relationships they have there.
Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. So the way you were able to grow so quickly, from local sales to mid-market, dealing with all of those, multi-locations. And again, one thing that we talk about here at Carrasco Consulting, it's not just about the ads. And like you mentioned, it's also the relationship. So what aspect of your thinking, because everybody in this program is handpicked, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then agencies, they just can't just like sign up, whimsically, right? They have to. Can you go through that a little bit, since I'm sure you've had to build your book of business, right? Because they don't just hand you and say, hey, here's these agencies that want to work with you, right? So
yeah,
please.
no, absolutely. And you alluded to it a little bit. So basically what I would do is I would vet out some agencies that I thought would be a good fit. So I'm looking at geo and really diving into their website to see what services they offer. I want to make sure that PPC is a big part of what they do, focusing on SMBs predominantly. So I want to make sure before I even engage them that I think it'd be worth their time and mine to explore, looking at their client base and, again, service offerings and things like that. So upon reaching out, if they're interested, then we usually set up a pretty short call, mainly so I can present our offerings and then simultaneously learn more about them. And of course, the whole goal of that is to see if we mutually agree that a partnership would make sense. And oftentimes I would say it would, if we got to that point where we're doing our diligence and pre-qualifying them enough. And then if we agreed, yes, this makes sense to move forward, then we set up a pretty extensive training. So the first one always is about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're bringing in their sales teams, account managers, really anyone on the agency side that would be touching the Yelp piece. And we're making sure, throughout trainings from there that they're all totally equipped and feel really comfortable presenting Yelp options to their clients, but also just equipping them with all the resources and things that they never had available. Working with Yelp on a client direct level. So showing them the advanced dashboards, the advanced reporting, the special tracking we can get in place for their clients. So we're in a good place in this segment, just being more advanced in our offerings and equipping agencies with what they can then pass along to their clients.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you. As we go through this, I'm going to reach on you and kind of lean on you. And I've always said it where we'll go out and we'll speak to people and we'll say, hey, this is what's available. These are the actual searches that are going on, because you guys can provide that, right? Like the searches that are going on, correct?
Yeah, we're pretty thorough in doing our diligence. With how you and I work specifically, we will never in a million years even present the Yelp option to the client unless we both agree, this is a great fit for the program. So not only are we looking at their actual listing and their user generated content, and the status of their profile, as it stands and with the enhancements we can make, but we're also digging in on the back end and we're looking at the search volume for their services and their products and their market. And, is there demand on Yelp for what they do, so the numbers have to make sense also before we even get to the point where we're calling the client saying, hey, I think we should, look into this Yelp thing for you guys.
Right.
So yeah, definitely some digging and some homework on the back end.
Right. And just to clarify too, over the almost couple years that we've been doing this together, my standpoint is where Yelp's standpoint is for the consumer, correct? Us at Carrasco Consulting, we're all about the business owner, right? Because we're focusing on hey, we need to make sure that they're taken care of first. And being in the segment and in the roles that you've been, you pretty much understand what happens on the back end and what can happen. And I want to squash this first and foremost right away. Is there an option for a Yelp employee after they call a business, right, to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to be a jerk to you and I'm going to hit this button on this dashboard to make your reviews get filtered magically? Is that something that's even possible?
Yeah, it is definitely not possible. I always kind of laugh. I'm like, if it was an option for us to manipulate reviews in any way, I would not be spending quarantine at my family's home in Minnesota. I would be on a yacht somewhere in the Mediterranean, because that would be the type of dough I'm raking in off that program, to be quite transparent. So there's no manipulation. Yelp, and I think that's why, I like to consider myself someone with strong character and strong values, and just hearing the company speak to their salespeople, their whole MO is just protecting the interest of the consumer and protecting the integrity of the site. So from my understanding, they will never do anything to jeopardize that integrity. And I think that actually comes as, if you look at it from a revenue perspective, it doesn't benefit Yelp in any way to try to, make business owners angry, because that's how we keep the lights on, So if anything, I think other companies might be more inclined to try to set up a program like that because they know they might be able to get some more advertisers on board. But, Yelp kind of holds firm on the integrity standpoint at the expense of revenue, which I think is, really a stand-up thing. So long story short, absolutely zero that anyone can do on the back end in terms of manipulating reviews in any direction.
Perfect. Like I said, I wanted to make sure that everyone heard that first and foremost, because, as we present this data, the whole focus is for everyone to see how effective the Yelp platform truly is from not just Jessica's standpoint as a 6-year employee, and not just me as like, yay, Yelp is great. I'm the one guy in the world that like loves Yelp as an agency. I'm not just some fanboy. I'm actually holding, Yelp's feet to the fire. So, and just so everyone knows, there's been times where I've sent emails off to Jessica's management, as well as, West Coast division regional people saying, hey, what is going on with this, right? Can you confirm that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're lucky in this segment that, like you alluded to, you have direct communication to a lot of the higher ups, which is really something that no other segment, no other third parties can say. But that's kind of the beauty of the position that we're in, being really in the not entry level, but really the initial phases of this partnership program, and just being able to have a really open forum. And we're super receptive to everything that you say and all the feedback that you and our other partners provide. So it's a cool spot to be in, I think.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, perfect. So what Jessica and I are going to do right now is we're going to kind of go through a slide deck that Yelp produces, because that's one of the other benefits is that for enterprise level accounts, for large segment accounts, super huge multi-location, and even global accounts, Yelp puts together these slide decks with very specific data, and we're able to present that to the client saying, hey, this is what we can do for you on a real raw level. A few of these slides that we're going to be showing you is from like our ComScore data that's delivered to us, third party, from the fall of 2019. With COVID and everything going on, this is the data that we have that is the most relevant. So we want to actually show you, and I wanted to give everyone like a context of like who Jessica is, kind of who I am, and let everybody know that, the stories that are out there, the complainer, Yelp is mean, right? They filter my reviews, but we won't even touch on that anymore because it's a dead horse. But I want everyone to understand that, this information, it's not me just making it up. It's not Jessica making it up. This is what Yelp actually really has, because there's even in the bottom, in the links, you'll be able to get links to the Yelp economic data. And so from Yelp being able to track everything, the other thing that they're able to see is where searches are spiking during situations like this, and where they're actually declining. So with essential businesses still being allowed to operate within the government system right now that we're in, we're going to really highlight professional services, right? Like your plumbers, your roofers, your HVAC people. And at the end, we're really going to kind of dive into what real true numbers look like for roofers, in the Yelp landscape. So I'm going to bring that up real quick, and then we're going to show everybody, and then you and I, Jessica, will be able to kind of walk through this for everybody. And here we are with this, and Yelp is truly number one for professional services. And this is something that Yelp has known for a long time. Back in 2016, end of it, touching into 2017, Nielsen, the people that did TV ratings and all of that, they did an in-depth study on Yelp, in-depth. And so that's how they were able to come up with this data. They're also showing that 96% of consumers make a purchase after using the platform. Jessica, can you speak about this a little bit more? I know it's just like automatic for you because you just know it back in and out.
Yeah, just memory right there. So the whole premise of this slide is really on purchase intent, and this is really what sets the Yelp platform apart from other platforms. So if you think about Google, a lot of times people are using Google when they're in the research phase, whereas Yelp is more the phase of, I know the service that I need. I know the market that I need it in. I'm ready to transact with a local business. I just need to see my options. So Ralph, I know we were talking the other week, I just needed to get my HVAC system replaced. So of course, what I did, opened the Yelp app, did a search for HVAC near me. I think I requested a quote from 3 different companies and ended up, getting some guys out and making a decision within the next 3 days or so, and then spent $6,000 replacing my HVAC system. So that's really how the platform works. People are coming there with a very solid intent. And according to Nielsen, 96% of these individuals are going to make a purchase like I did after using the platform.
Yeah, great. This kind of speaks about how people do, that they are, they're searching and then they're going to call. And then that's why the platform is so powerful, where, like you mentioned, I call it the big 3. You got Google, your DIYers, you got Facebook with everyone being social, like, oh, they're nice, they're friendly, you should use them, right? But then through all of those, people still look at the Yelp platform to make sure that they're making the best buying decision possible and reading more.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, again, why Jessica and I touch on this. People trust the Yelp platform. It's available and spoke about in fiction and in movies, even Adult Swim cartoons like Rick and Morty, all sorts of different crazy things, how Yelp is intertwined into the landscape realistically. So again, this is data that was produced from June of 2019, almost a year ago. Yelp reaches 100 monthly unique users, 100 million monthly unique users. And that's really powerful considering there's about 300 million people in the United States. So again, everyone that says that Yelp is not relevant, we're going to get into that a little bit more as to how relevant. You guys might not know, but again, the numbers are there and the numbers are showing. We're also able to show how Yelp is getting more people than Netflix, Pandora, and even TripAdvisor at times. So if you really kind of understand that, it is really making an impact in the buying decision. And then from that point, this is something that we look at, especially with COVID-19, with 81% of the people coming from a mobile device. It's very easy to just, pull out your device and look. So Jessica, what are some of the platforms, because I don't think that we have it on here, what are some of the platforms that Yelp directly plugs into that you guys love talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it's funny because sometimes you come across business owners that they're just adamant for whatever reason that their customers are not using Yelp. And I'm like, oh, do any of your customers use an iPhone? Do you think? Maybe a couple of them? So we are integrated into a lot of other platforms, which is pretty neat. So we are partnered with Apple. So if you've ever used Siri or Apple Maps, you'll notice that Yelp is actually powering local search for both of those things. We're also partnered with Amazon. And so what that means is if you direct a local business query towards Alexa, for example, Alexa, what are some Mexican restaurant options near me? Again, Yelp is powering local search for Alexa devices. Other big ones, we're partnered with Bing and Yahoo. So Bing, for example, they don't have their own local business content. They're actually powered by Yelp. We're their main content provider on that end, so Bing Local. We're also installed in a lot of car GPS systems, so more so luxury models that were made post 2013. But the idea is, okay, you're on a road trip, you want to look for a place to get gas or a place to get coffee. Again, that's going to be powered by Yelp. So those are our big ones. We do have a couple other partnerships as well, but those are definitely the main ones to look out for.
Yeah, as well as, like you said, Yahoo and MapQuest. And so it's funny, I was on a call where someone was asking about what Yext might be doing. And again, this is my personal opinion, has nothing to do with Yelp corporate or anything like that. But Yext is also ran by, they plug into Yelp. And so by literally just setting up your Yelp account and getting it dialed in through there, I feel as though that you can save a Yext membership by basically updating your Yelp profile, because once you update your Yelp profile, it then filters out to all of those other services and platforms. Is that correct, Jessica?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So here's a crazy part about from this study about how Yelp has high users, or I'm sorry, high earners. So they're saying that, you know, over 50% of the people that use Yelp have a household income of $100,000 or more. And then from that point, 67% of Yelp users are over the age of 35. So I'm going to say that again, 67% of Yelp users are over the age of 35. So for me, and my takeaway on that is that you have individuals who have disposable income, who are a little seasoned, who are college educated, and they want to just make the best buying decision possible because they want to ensure that their household revenue income is protected. Would you agree, Jessica?
Yeah, and I always just chuckle at this slide because some people are like, really? You have that many users that are over the age of 55? And my grandparents, specifically my grandmother, is like an avid Yelper. Like she actually leaves reviews on the site too, which I think is like the funniest thing. Takes her a while to type the whole thing out, you know?
Yeah.
Hopefully she doesn't see this, but yeah. So I can tell you firsthand that is true.
Grams loves, I know. And then my mom, she'll send me a picture of a place and she's like, look, great Yelp reviews. And they're like, but their page is unclaimed. And I'm like, I know.
Like, I've trained you well, Mom. I've trained you well. That's
exactly. You know, this is speaking about, you know, the reach and then the genders. We all know that advertising is always geared towards females. Mad Men prove that, you know, we've all known those stories. So now we're going to kind of jump into the advertising partner program. And so from this point, I would love for you guys to really see kind of what we're able to offer versus like just working with Yelp Direct. So even with like the enhanced profile, it used to be available to have video hosting, and you'll still see it on some accounts where there's like a quick 2-minute video on their profile that they used to be able to buy. Is that correct, Jessica? And can you explain how that's changed?
Yeah, so video hosting on a local sales level, we used to be able to sell that. It would come as an add-on, so the business actually had to pay an additional $50 per month just as the hosting fee. That option is actually obsolete now. It's no longer available in the local sales segment. So that is an advantage of working with a Yelp advertising partner, is not only can you have a video hosted on your listing, we actually include it for free in any plan that includes an enhanced profile. So we just bundle it in there.
Perfect. And then some of the other things that you cannot get with local sales is, you know, the ability to upload a tracking line on the back end, utilize UTM codes. The reporting API is so much stronger. There's some other things like negative keyword targeting that we're working into. And then again, Yelp is able to offer profile suggestions, but a lot of the local salespeople, I guess I can say that Carrasco Consulting, we take it to another level just because of the time that I've been on the planet and the way that I see things from like a consumer point of view. That's why we focus on profile instead of just ads. Mm-hmm. Jessica, can you talk about that just briefly? Like, what can a Yelp local salesperson say? Because the way that I look at it and the way that I tell people is that if Yelp was doing the process of setting up the marketing for somebody, then they'd be a marketing company. Mm-hmm. They're actually like a directory company first and foremost, right? And like, what's your ranking there with the directories?
Yeah, so number 1 local business directory in the US. Thanks for the shameless plug there. But yeah, but it's kind of hard to say because it's not necessarily apples to apples, because as you alluded to, you know, the local sales department, they're really there to help guide the advertisers just through setting up their ads. They're not there to be point people, you know, for every day after your advertising. And that's why our whole segment right now is a self-service product. So businesses can just go in their dashboard and sign up for ads themselves. They can purchase these products themselves. So again, that salesperson is really just there to be that initial guide, to make some initial recommendations. But then, you know, from there, there's really no maintenance in terms of the relationship. So I know with working with Ralph, this is really your sweet spot, is you will not even touch the ad piece until their profile is set up as pristinely as possible, so you're going in there and you're making sure that their photos are amazing and crystal clear, and that everything is captioned, and that if there's a video there, and that their call to action is strong, and that we have tracking dialed in. So there are quite a few steps, and any additional products, any additional pilots that you're eligible for as a partner that you can place your clients on. So there's a ton of work, probably hours on your end that you're putting in on the background before, then actively promoting them on the site to all of those searches.
Right. Yeah. And so at this point, I am going to shamelessly plug myself. So yeah. I sent you a screenshot of something from one of our clients who is a plumbing HVAC company. And I was surprised when we got these numbers back, and Jessica about dropped her jaw, because some of the click-through rates that we get and some of the returns on ad spend have really been through the roof. It's been phenomenal. So we actually got an 1,100% return on ad spend in July of last year for that company. And then in October, we ended up getting an 1,800% return on investment, right? Do you remember that when that came over?
I will never forget. Yeah, it's locked in my brain forever. Good time.
So that's not really, I mean, it's common for some, but like that's kind of a little bit different, right? Like,
yeah.
What is
Boston Consulting Group did a study on return on Yelp ad spend a couple of years ago. They found the average is about 3 to 1. So you're always going to get a return, but that's really the average. So yes, when we get into the 1,800% there, it's a little shocking in the best way possible.
Yes, exactly. That's what we keep
now
doing.
It's just become normal. So now we're not even surprised. It's like that's just the standard moving along.